Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Avionics Tech Channel.
The U.S. Air Force has to transport troops, equipment, and supplies to aid military operations around the world. For this purpose, they use large cargo planes with massive payload capacity, unlike other aircraft in their arsenal. So how does the USAF load and offload cargo on these monster-sized aircraft? Let's find out. The C-5 is the largest aircraft in the Air Force inventory. It is distinct for having both front and rear cargo ramps. The cargo can be loaded and offloaded from either side. Of the C-5, it can lift two self-propelled artillery vehicles such as a Paladin, at 30 feet long and 10 feet wide, heavily armored tracked vehicle to load a Paladin via the rear ramp of a C-5. The crew sets up a wooden surface for the tank to incline and enter the cargo compartment smoothly. The C-5 can kneel on its landing gear to facilitate the loading operations. The aircraft lowers itself to present the cargo deck at truck bed height, almost 6 feet off the ground. C-5 is not kneeling. The ramp from the deck to the ground has a crown at the top. This prevents wheeled vehicles from driving into the cargo compartment as they high center on the crown. However, when the C-5 is kneeling on its landing gear, the wheeled vehicles can easily enter the cargo compartment. The United States Air Force uses C-5 aircraft to transport helicopters to different locations. Initially, the crew sets up a ramp and loads the AW-64 onto the aircraft. The helicopter is then moved to a location where it utilizes minimum space in the C-5 cargo compartment. To unload an AW-64, the crew sets up 3 wooden surfaces, one each for its front and back tires combined. The AW-64 is moved out from the same end it was loaded. A crew member monitors the placement of its wheels on the wooden surface till the AW-64 is finally on the ground. It is dragged out of the cargo compartment using a tow bar. In addition to transporting tanks and helicopters, the C-5 is also used to transport the James Webb Space Telescope. However, before loading the telescope onto the cargo compartment, it is kept safe inside the Space Telescope Transport Air Rail and Sea or STARS container. The container is transported from the facility to the C-5 aircraft via a truck. ERs set up wooden surfaces diligently under the container while loading them onto the C-5 Super Galaxy transport aircraft. After loading the cargo on a C-5, the pilots start the engine and ask permission to taxi on busy airports where several aircraft are taxiing around. Moving a C-5 is not an easy task. The C-5 has to taxi out its way to the runway carefully. The C-5 Galaxy takes off in the same way as a traditional transport aircraft. Taking off, the wheels are retracted into the wheel well to reduce drag. The C-5 has retractable tricycle-type landing gear fitted with oleo-pneumatic dual-chamber shock absorbers, carbon disc brakes, and Goodrich wheels. These tires can be deflated mid-air depending upon the landing conditions at the destination airfield. The C-5 features 4 main leading gear units fitted in tandem pairs. Each unit incorporates a 6-wheel bogie with 2 wheels forward and 4 wheels rear of the shock absorber, whereas the 4-wheeled nose gear is equipped with robust hydraulically driven ball screw units to retract backward. A hydraulically driven gear system rotates the main units through 90 degrees for inward retraction. The nose gear can be rotated through a 120-degree. Frontal arc. This provides a ground turning radius of 22.10 meters about the nose wheel and 52.12 meters about the wingtip. Due to its unique leaning gear system, the C-5 Galaxy can land anywhere around the world. It requires a landing distance of 4,900 feet at maximum gross weight. While landing, the speed of the C-5 Galaxy reduces from Mach 0.77 at the peak to 135 knots at 1,500 meters from the ground once landed. It is tough to stop a C-5 because of its size and weight. To overcome this problem, the pilots sometimes apply reverse thrust to decelerate the C-5 out of reverse.